Warning, the following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers and/or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only. Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Good evening, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. Welcome to the show again. How are you all doing this evening? We're doing great. We're really excited tonight. We're having our first guest brought to you from England. And we really appreciate them showing up because it is midnight where they are. Let's see, what do we have some comments here. Hey, Trish Pipkin says she's here. Hi, Trish. Oh, George Dismukes is present and accounted for. Hi, George. And Barbara Duffy Hennison says, hello, everybody. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that you can join us. Those of you that watch the show regularly know that George was one of our authors early on. And he has a Netflix series. Hopefully, we think it'll be a Netflix series coming out called Siren Song, and he's had an amazing life. I'm telling you, he wrote the voice of, he wrote the voice of Festus on Gunsmoke. He was the screenwriter who wrote those words that man said, and that was my favorite character on Gunsmoke. If any of you are old enough to remember Gunsmoke, I am. Well, we're really glad that you're here. We're really excited to have the authors that we have today. We love all of our authors that have been on the show so far, and we've loved every episode. It's been so fun. Please continue to join us, and remember to like, share, follow, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube and to the WLFE-DB.com YouTube also, where you can watch us on TV. On Variety Unlimited, we'll be on that one. And also there's LGBTQ Friends and the Paranormal View, which you would think we would be on that, but we're not, because we're not doing a paranormal show. We're doing an author show.
And speaking of shows, next week, next Wednesdays, right here, we're going to be talking with Caleb and Linda Pirtle, who have quite a few books to their name. And science fiction author Adam Gaffin will be here as well. We'll have some giveaways, of course, and
we have some great giveaways tonight.
We've got some great giveaways tonight. Yep, and we'll tell you about those as we go along here. But without any further ado, why don't we introduce our first author on our first ever UK Authors Night, and it's Paul CUDE. Come on in, Paul.
Hi,
Paul. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Rob and Joan, for inviting me on.
Thanks for being on.
Thanks for staying up so late.
God bless you.
You're very welcome.
Midnight to be on our show. We're really humbled. That's amazing.
Always very welcome.
Well, Paul, why don't we start off with you telling the folks about what you write about and how you got started writing. We'll start off with those two things.
So it's all about, my books are all about dragons. It's a young adult fantasy adventure with some of the dragons living deep underground in huge magical cities. Others take human form in an effort to guide and protect humanity, which is where it all starts, and it gets them into all sorts of mischief and trouble. And that's kind of how book one starts, and it carries on from there. And so far, I think there's around about 1 million words in the series.
Wow. Now, Trish says she loves dragons. I told you we belong to a multiplayer game online that we've been doing for 10 years. So we both have thousands, literally thousands of dragons.
Fantastic. I love to hear that. Who doesn't like dragons?
I don't know. And
No.
who would want to have a pet dragon to fly around on? I mean, that's the way to go.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
They are dangerous, though.
And as for how it all got started, well, just oddly, it started as a dream long time ago, probably 14 or 15 years ago now. One night I was just sat watching the telly with my wife, and I recalled something from the previous night that I dreamt, and it just played out in my head like a movie. And essentially what that was is what book one is now. And I just sort of sat there. I must have been open-mouthed. My wife probably didn't know any different to what I normally look like, I don't think. And I after it all struck me, I explained it to her, and she said, "Wow, you have to write that." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I can only type with 2 fingers, so that's never going to happen." And we kind of left it at that, and I just kept on dreaming about it. Sometimes intricate little details, sometimes lines of dialogue, but it just wouldn't leave me alone. And so after sort of 3 months of teaching myself to type properly in my spare time, eventually I wrote the first book. And I think probably only a few chapters in, I was already dreaming about the second book. And even today, 5 huge books in, I still dream about the books that I'm writing and what the characters do. Sometimes, as I say, little details, sometimes a huge overall view of what happens. But yeah, and in some ways, sometimes, very, very rarely, I feel cursed by it. But most of the time, I feel very lucky that I can, wake up with perhaps a plot, a plot solved, or some sort of problem resolved inside all of it.
I think all the other authors listening are probably jealous, unless they're the ones that get them from dreams too. I do not.
No.
I have to use blood, sweat, and tears.
Well, there's still a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. But so if I do get stuck, I would think, if I go to bed and it's the last thing I think about, I would think there's a very reasonable chance that I will dream about whatever it is I'm stuck on.
That's really amazing. That's awesome. You're not the first author that has shared that, though. So I find that really interesting. I know I have things that I think about, so I guess that's sort of like daydreaming. It'll come into my mind, oh, this would be good, something like that.
Yeah.
And then I start playing it out in my head. But
I can certainly lose myself in the day. I can be sat in a doctor's waiting room or wherever, and my mind just like wanders off, and all of a sudden I've come up with another plot twist, or a name of a book is like a recent one that happened to me. I was waiting for my youngest daughter to be seen at the doctor's, and I just the last 2 books in my series, the names of them just popped in my head.
Wow.
I need to write those down as soon as I get home, because I'll forget them otherwise.
Exactly right. Can we put up some of the places where we can reach?
Yeah, we can
Paul?
do that. All right. First is Facebook. That's Facebook, www.facebook.com, and it's paul.cude.3.
CUDE is CUDE.
Right.
That's the way Paul spells his book.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm always happy to have a chat with anybody on Facebook, or help share their work and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
so
wonderful.
Follow Paul there, and then you can also follow him on Twitter at Paul underspace there, or space, I guess, underscore CUDE, CUDE. That's on Twitter, and of course his website. And www.paulcude.com.
And
then do we want to go ahead and get into the book giveaway? You want to start talking about book?
Yeah, I'm very happy. Yeah, so I'm very happy to give away a signed copy of the first book. So wherever you are on the planet, I will do my very best to get it to you. And also 5 sets of ebooks. on offer. So that's books 1 through to 4, plus there are some reader magnets as well. So it would be looking to be somewhere around sort of 750,000 words in total, I should think. So
That's
might keep all the dragon lovers out there quiet for a little while.
Yes, I think there's a lot of us.
Yes.
All right. Here's the details. Here's what you have to do. So it's the first person to email author@paulcude.com. That's his email. Will win the signed copy of the book, right?
That's right. Yep. And the next 5, I will contact you tomorrow after I've had a little bit of sleep, and I shall make arrangements to email you the links to download the books.
And that'll be ebook copies of the
absolutely in the format of your choice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Right?
Okay. It won't come up, huh?
What do you want?
I want to bring this one up.
No, it won't, because that one's up already. It'll knock it out.
Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulty. This is not doing what I wanted to do.
There. All right. Okay. All right. So we got that out of the way. Now can you tell us a little bit about the plot in the first book, or the storyline, just some hints?
So, well, one of the things you learn about is the true story of the George and the Dragon. So I'm not going to say too much about that, but there's you kind of leap back in time, and it's not quite as one-sided as you might imagine. That's probably all I'll say about that. Essentially, as I say, some of the dragons, they take human form in an effort to guide and protect humanity. And one of them in particular gets caught up in a kind of despicable plot, if you like, through no fault of his own, and he's very naive, and he gets dragged further and further into it, and some of his friends try and come to his aid, quite unsuccessfully, and yeah, it all ends up going quite badly. During all of that time, you meet a mysterious stranger with some royal connections, a master mantra maker that has been alive for nearly 500 years, and it all resolves itself right at the very end with a little bit of help from nature, shall we say. That's probably all. I hate spoilers. Everybody tries to spoil books for me, so it's difficult for me to come on and sort of say,
don't give it away. Don't give it away.
Absolutely. But the plot, so the first book ends and the second one continues on from there, and you get to meet a dragon agent from the king that's nearly killed, and he manages to survive, although he loses something quite valuable in the process, and joins the tight-knit group of friends. And the plot from the first book, the threat, if you like, is still ever present, and it just continues on and on. And in the third book, Twisted Prophecy, the most fantastical rescue ever derives from just a normal meal out at an Indian restaurant. So that's believe you me, that's kind of worth reading. It sounds a little bit odd, but yes. And then in the fourth book, you get to meet the family from hell, and I'll probably say no more than that. And the fifth book was the hardest book I've ever written. It's 210,000 words, and when I say it's just non-stop action, I kid you not. That's all that it is. And
that's a fiery farewell, right?
A Fiery Farewell is the fifth book, yeah, and it literally it is the events take place in only like 24 hours, but it's just non-stop action. And currently, I'm writing the sixth book in the series, which is going to be called Evil Endeavors, and that's not far away from being finished. And I plan to hopefully finish the seventh book in the series, which will be the final one, by the end of this year.
Oh, people are going to be sad to hear that.
Well, it's quite a lot to get your teeth into as well. There are, I think there are 3 reader magnets that are not short books, somewhere ranging between sort of 60 and 80,000 words. So there's those ones that if you sign up to my newsletter and stuff, you can download them for free. And those all fit into the White Dragon saga, if you like. One of them's a prequel of everything bad that happens and how it happens and the little twist of fate that kicks things off. There's another one that's the backstory of one of the characters. And there's my take on Christmas in Crisis, which is quite interesting. You get to meet Santa Claus herself.
Herself.
I shall say no more than that.
There you go.
Oh, I think I'd like that.
And what is your age appeal? What is your target audience?
So personally, I've always classed it as young adult fantasy. I have readers as young as 10, maybe a little bit lower, but certainly 10-year-olds. I've got lots of 10-year-olds that get in touch and tell me, wow, they like it and they love all the plot and everything like that. But I would say I would get more adults than teenagers reading it. And, you know, if I hadn't written it and it was something I found, it would certainly be the thing that I would be reading. It's, you know, it's, if you read Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, it's that kind of thing. You can read this. There's nothing too gory in it. There are obviously deaths and magic and mystery and mayhem, but yeah, nothing too gory.
Paul Hollis just said hello to all of us. I don't know if you saw that banner come up. He's the author of the Hollow series.
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hollow Man series.
Yes.
And he's a wonderful author also. And the amazing thing about his books. Oh, Trish has a question.
Trish wants to know, are your books on Amazon? We know the answer.
On Amazon. Yeah, they're available on Amazon, so you can buy them separately. There's also a box set. If you take a look at all the books and you think, oh, do you know what? I'd like to buy the first 4 together. You can get a box set and save yourself a little bit of money. But yeah, they're on Amazon and free to read on Kindle Unlimited.
Yes, Kindle Unlimited. Paul says, great to put a face with the name.
Yeah, nice to see you, Paul.
Paul and Paul.
Yeah, what I started to say about Paul Hollis is that his books are true. It's what he's lived. So,
well, so are Paul's.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I kind of wish they were. I wish I could. One of the characters is loosely based on me. I wouldn't tell you which one, but yes, wouldn't it be great to be able to change into a dragon? That would be fantastic.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, it would be. It would really be good. Or barring that, have a pet dragon.
Yes, absolutely.
So George and the Dragon, my mind kind of goes there. So anyway, like we said, no spoilers. We'll just let people read the books and figure it out for themselves. So that's really interesting to me. Did you not ever write when you were young? It just happened that one day when you were sitting on the sofa and this popped into your head?
I kind of did. I can remember doing lots of writing when I was perhaps 9, 10, 11 at school and coming home and wanting to do writing. I was inspired by, as probably a lot of people of my age were, of the Star Wars movies. And I can remember writing lots of, I would sit there and write lots of stuff about Star Wars, and I would draw all the pictures of the droids and the spaceships and things like that. But I think when I got to, I think it was 11 or 12, I found my sport of choice, which is hockey, or field hockey as it would be known in the States. And unfortunately, to the detriment of everything else, that's all I wanted to do. So I just wanted to do that and play that all the time, which is what I did. So kind of everything else suffered, if you like. And as I say, it was only really, about 15 years ago that I had this just astounding dream. It just played out like a movie in my head. I could see everything. And it was like, wow, it just knocked my socks off. And as I say, I did my best to articulate it all to my wife. She was like, yeah, you have to write that. And then kind of here we are, a million or so words well, 1,000,000+ words later.
It's a lot of words.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of editing.
A lot of editing.
Oh, don't start me on it. I hate editing.
How many times do you go back, or do you have someone do that?
No, so my wife is, part of her job is as a professional editor. So she is my editor, but I loathe editing with an absolute passion. I fully understand the necessity of it, and I know that you have to do it properly and really take the time and put the time in to get it right. But that is, when I finish a book, so when I finished A Fiery Farewell, so that's 210,000 words. And, what generally happens is I sit there for about 20 minutes or so, and I'm absolutely ecstatic, just overjoyed. And you perhaps know the feeling that you get the minute, the second you put that full stop in there, that last sentence. It's just pure ecstasy. And then after 20 minutes, you kind of like, for me anyway, off a cliff. And it's like, oh no, there's editing to be done.
No, we have edited.
And I think probably with A Fiery Farewell, I think myself, I probably must have gone through it 10 times.
Yeah.
You think, over 200,000 words, and you're trying to, look at every single word, every single full stop.
Right.
By the time that you've done that, you've kind of like, right, you've had enough of it a little bit for a while. So yeah, it's hard work, but it's very necessary, isn't it? As I'm sure you know.
Yes. A word about your covers. You have really great covers on these books. I'm going to bring them up again here.
We're so impressed with all the authors' covers, really.
I think I'm quite lucky in as much as pretty much what I've asked for. When they kind of, obviously, I use a company called demonza.com, and they obviously ask for a brief of what it is that you're kind of looking for, and I would say that they've covered themselves in glory. Everything I've asked for, I think, to depict what's inside the book, is very well represented by the covers, at least in my opinion anyway. So I've always been very happy with them.
That's good. We were talking about it being a young adult series, and hello, Genevieve. Welcome to the show. Glad you could make it. This is Paul. He's all the way from England tonight.
He's the Dragon Master.
He is, and it's midnight. And we appreciate it. And our second author also. So we're really blessed and humbled that they would come. But I was going to say that I read a lot of young adult books. I like young adult books. And
I think so many adults do, don't they? I mean, as I say, this would, I read all sorts of different genres, but actually I'm always drawn to young adult fiction. I don't know why. Perhaps it's the how popular Harry Potter has been in the past, and that's drawn people in. But that for me is kind of what I'd like to read.
You're young at heart.
I think you can probably just say I'm the biggest child in the world. And by the way, there's quite a lot of my sense of humor in the books as well. That comes out. So just a warning there.
Well, I think a lot of the big blockbuster movies have come from young adult books.
Yeah.
The Hunger Games and Mortal Bones, and I'm trying to think of some other. I can't think of them, but a lot of the recent big blockbusters all started out as young adult novels.
But I think that's what people are. They kind of gravitate towards, don't they? Whether it's because they're not looking for something too gory, or they're just, they're just looking for something a little bit fresh and new. But certainly, it's the kind of stuff I'd want to read.
Hi, Phyllis. Welcome back to the show. Glad to have you. Yeah, this is Paul.
Oh. Hi, Phyllis.
Hi, Cindy.
Cindy says, I have enjoyed the books, and I think I am drawn to the genre because sex is not the main plot. Yeah.
Hi, Cindy. How are you? It's always a pleasure to see you. I'm very happy to share all your stuff online all the time. It's great to see you.
She's a good supporter of indie authors.
Absolutely, yeah, fantastic. You should all follow Cindy.
She's a good poet too.
We love Cindy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've read some of her stuff and enjoyed some of the poems that I see on Facebook that she's written.
Well, maybe we'll get her to be on the show sometime.
You should. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we were on another podcast with her. We actually co-hosted another podcast and we brought her on there. And we said, no, you have to come on our show. And she said, no.
It was kind of a stressful situation, I believe, which I understand.
I understand too. Yeah. Not all of us like to do this, you know.
Right. Matter of fact, I'm leaving. Goodbye. No. Well, we're almost up to.
This is nice.
Oh, that's
thanks.
Nice. Thanks.
No, you're always very welcome. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, she's great. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say we're cruising into commercial time.
Are we already?
Yeah, just about. Not a few minutes
happen?
yet. Well, we have a captivating guest.
Yeah. Hello, Patricia.
Hi, Patricia.
Glad to see
welcome.
You.
So, any other words of wisdom, Paul?
Oh, I don't know about words of wisdom. I think I've just been. I think you just when you start off as an indie author, just in my experience, you just make mistake after mistake after mistake, and you know some of them you can rectify after time. But you just have to kind of learn. And I think that the writing community online, I would just say, is fabulous. You know, I've never had a bad experience, and so many people have offered up their help to me. And I would say if you ever need any advice or, you know, any help of any sort, then by all means contact me on the social media platforms. And I'm always very happy to help. I would say that the writing community generally is as well. Is that your experience, Rob, Jane?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Paul Hollis really helped us a lot when we first started in social media and had our first book launch, and you know. And
he's still got our back today. So
he does.
That's really great.
Yep. You know. And had no idea what the heck we were doing or got ourselves into. Many years ago.
So let's tell people where to find. You want to tell them this time, and we'll bring them up one at a time here. Facebook. How can they find you on Facebook? It's
so they can find me on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Paul.Cude.3. And I also have a Facebook group that you're always very welcome to join called Dragon Domainers. You can find that just by typing that into the Facebook search engine, and I'd be very happy to have you along. I run competitions, and you know, you learn all about the crazy, wacky life that I live.
That's great. And is that also where people can sign up for your newsletter?
Yeah, absolutely. They can sign. There's a post on the White Dragon Saga page.
Okay.
Posted at the top of that. You can sign up to my newsletter, and you can find me on Twitter at Paul_Cude. And
I think his website.
And my website is www.paulcude.com, and there you can see the selection of books and just read a little bit more about them.
Okay, and one more time on the book giveaway, we'll run that real quick.
Yeah, so it's if you email me at author@paulcude.com, I shall get back to you tomorrow to let you know who the winners are.
Awesome.
Right. There's quite a bit given away, so
I know somebody's already signed up. So
oh yeah, about 2 seconds after we put this up.
Fantastic.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a little break. Well, it's about a 4-minute break, I guess.
A commercial break.
Commercial break. We've got.
So if you need to use the restroom or you need to get a drink, do that now, people, and we'll be back in a few.
We'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll bring in Bobbie Barker, and we'll chat with her for a while. Okay, and so stand by.
WLFE Digital Broadcast Network is on TV. You can watch all of our shows on WLFE-DB.com. Check out our channels: Paranormal View for all of your paranormal type shows, LGBTQ Friends for all of our LGBTQ shows, Variety Unlimited for all other shows. It runs 24/7 right on WLFE-DB.com. You'll even catch the lives, all in one place. Never miss an episode, past or future. WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows. Search for your favorite shows like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Paratalk Radio, Step into the Paranormal, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and more. Now you won't miss an episode. Remember, follow Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Make sure you subscribe and follow your favorite WLFE-DB radio shows. You can find our shows where you listen to your favorite podcasts, like Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and more. WLFE-DB Radio is looking for podcasts to join our family. You don't have to fit any strict genre. We're a plethora of shows. If you're looking to jump on a growing network, then contact us at WLFEDBradio@gmail.com.
Wow, Amazon Music just got a whole lot better. Your favorite shows from WLFE-DB Radio can now be found there. Yes, we are on Amazon Music, found under podcasts. Download the app, find podcasts, and search all of your favorite shows. Shows like Where's My Sage, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Skeptical Help Bar, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and much more. Now you don't have to miss an episode ever. Amazon Music is WLFE-DB radiofied.
More from WLFE-DB Radio Network after this.
Hey guys and dolls, this is Casey DeVille, the better half of DeVille Inc., Baltimore, Maryland. If you're ever in Baltimore, stop in and see me and Tony. Invisible Bree, 5920 Eastern Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland, 21224. Give us a call if you're in the area at 410-400-9641, or look us up on the web at DeVilleInc.com. DeVille Inc., where we specialize in you.
Oh yeah, life just got sweeter now that WLFE-DB has merchandise. Show your support by purchasing your t-shirts for WLFE, Paratalk Radio, Inside the Drag Closet, and more. But it doesn't stop there. T-shirts, coffee mugs, tanks, buttons, cloth bags, and more. Go to WLFE-DB.com. On the top bar, click on the merchandise tab and bam! There you go. You got merch. Support the shows. WLFE-DB.com. You're listening to WLFE-DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
Hi, Bobbie.
Hello, Bobbie.
Hi.
Welcome. Still awake?
Say good evening, but it's more good night.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. That's a good one.
Sorry to keep you up so late, but so glad that you were able to join us, Bobbie.
It's okay. I can have a small lay-in in the morning. It's fine.
That's good.
A couple of little comments we need to catch up with here. Cindy says, by the way, hello, everyone. I should have started with that. And glad to put a face to Paul CUDE.
So, Cindy, do you know Bobbie? If not, Bobbie's Cindy.
Flush.
Yeah.
Hi, Cindy.
Cindy is an author also. She's a poet.
Trish says, hello, Cindy. Oop.
All right.
All right, we got our old business out of the way.
Now, Bobbie, we'd really like you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started writing and what you write about.
Okay. Well, I started writing around 6 years ago, I suppose it would be now. And it was just making me smile to myself when Paul was saying about the mistakes that you make in the very beginning.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yes, that definitely happened. It still does to some degree. Yeah, I think it came from me. I mean, I remember my very first inkling that I might like to write. I was in London in about, I think it was 69, 70, and they did the Metropolitan Police did a help the police competition. And it was for all the kids, basically, you know, I think up to the age of 12 or something like that. And you had a whole bunch of questions to fill in, and at the very end there was an essay. So my friend and I did it all together except the essay. And strangely enough, it was actually a crime story about a robbery, but I actually came third in London.
Wow, congratulations.
Which was, you know, quite amazing. I was quite happy. The prize was to go to spend 2 weeks in Canada with the Canadian Mounties.
Oh
my goodness.
That was the first prize. The third prize that I got was a load of books on it. So yeah, I got to look at what it might be like, but never got to go. But yes, as I say,
you can read
sorry?
about it. You can read about it.
Yeah, I did. I wasn't envious at all that I didn't win and four other people went, but hey. But I think my inspiration came from my own personal background, and I think maybe, you know, I think Rob and Joan, you know, touched a little bit on this, and that was my childhood. I suffered a level of abuse, and then it went on into my adulthood with domestic violence, and it was, you know, there were some bad times. I mean, some have had it much worse. I know it's bad times, but somehow I feel really strongly. Somehow I came to it. And I thought I really want to write, and it's sort of it's listening to Paul's, you know, about dragons and fantasy, and mine couldn't be further from that. But it's not, you know, it isn't all doom and gloom, because I believe that I'm a survivor of what happened to me, and I really believe that, you know, if I could, by talking about it, just help one person that, you know, still sitting at home, not able to go out, perhaps something terrible has happened to them, and, you know, they have no life, and it's that you're forced into this, you don't believe in yourself, you're rubbish, you know, you're like with me, I was told I was a terrible mother, and, you know, you almost begin to believe it, but you can get through that. And I think I found, you know, I'm very, very happy now. I'm been, you know, married for quite a long time. I have 4 girls and a stepson. Life is good, but I survived it, and I do believe people can. And I think my inspiration came from what happened to me. Although I do write pretty gruesome stories, which is, you know, you may think I should be the one writing about fantasies, but yeah. So really, that's where my inspiration came from, writing, and also to have the opportunity. You know, you at work, children, this, that, and the other, and I was lucky enough to be able to start writing full time about 4 years ago. So I have my little setup now, and, you know, I'm still learning. Still always something new to learn. But that's really where it came from. And I feel very, very strongly. You know, people need to be survivors. They need to get to the stage where they, you know, they can say, I'm a survivor to what's happened to me. And, you know, you put your best foot forward. It's not easy. It's you know, it's taken me some time. But all I would say to those people out there who harm me is, you know, here I am, and you haven't succeeded, basically. So yes, I started writing, and you know, now I do it full time, and I absolutely love it.
Wise words, Bobbie. You speak like the victor you are, is what Trish has to say.
Oh, thank you, Trish. That's really kind of you. I'm not, you know, I'm not taking it away from anybody who hasn't been able to move on. You know, it is, you know, you have to find the strength, and that is not easy. It is not easy to do, but it is possible.
This is probably a good place to mention that WLFE-DB is a designated safe space. And that means that if you are listening to any of our broadcasts on any of our programs on this radio station, you are in a safe space. You can say whatever you need to say. If you feel marginalized, if you need to talk to someone, if something has happened, you've been bullied, any one of the hosts is ready, willing, and able to listen. No one is a psychiatrist or any type of a clinician at all, but we are a safe space, and you can feel free.
We'll listen.
To talk. We'll listen. We're here for you.
That's fantastic, because sometimes that's all somebody needs.
Absolutely.
Somebody to listen, someone to believe in them, and just maybe just help them along the way a little bit. Just talking is an amazing thing to do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, it is. And don't you think that perhaps writing was a good way for you to work out a lot of it too? I think,
Yeah, I've heard this quite a lot, actually, that people, it's hard to say what you'd call it. It's not really a therapy as such, but it's just something that brings something out in you. And I think it gives you a self-belief. It certainly has me. It's made me feel really good about something, there was one time it's hard to believe, it was about 30 years ago, but I remember saying to my partner, not at the time, that, I'd really love to write a book. And he just stood there, looked me up and down, and just said, "Don't be so bloody stupid." And I just thought,
Yikes.
What am I thinking? How ridiculous. What am I even thinking of? And it's a bit like, hello. I've done, even if I only ever write just purely for pleasure, I've done that. So at least I can say I've achieved. And I do believe I've got a little saying up on my wall over there, and it says, "It's the greatest revenge is to achieve what others say you cannot."
Yep.
And I believe that may have been Mark Twain, but don't quote me on that.
Tricia had a question. Bobbie, do you try to show with your characters how a person can break free?
I believe I do. Yes, I believe there is some of that in there. It's in, without giving too much away of the storylines. It's I do love to see a winner, if that's the right word to use. Doesn't necessarily mean to say it will always end up that way, but yeah, I do believe I use it as a I don't know, maybe it's all part of the survival thing.
Well, that whole control thing of telling you you're stupid, that's just a way to keep you controlled and not to achieve everything you can, because then that makes that person feel lesser. So,
Absolutely. I mean, I was never, this particular person, I was never, I wasn't in love with him. After 4 months, I thought I have to find a way out of this. But the other emotion, fear, is terrible. It's a terrible emotion to have. And it took me a year to finally get rid of him. And I don't know if any of you have seen this. It wasn't quite as dramatic as this. I don't know if you've seen the film Sleeping with the Enemy.
Yes.
With Julia Roberts, where she, do you know that one, Paul? Where she escapes. It wasn't quite as dramatic as that. Obviously, it wasn't a movie, but it was along those lines. And the one thing that used to terrify me of running away was that he always said he would find me, and I always believed it until I left, till I disappeared with my children, and he never came after me. It was all just to keep me where he wanted it, where he wanted me. So, but I've moved on. I've survived it, and and I'm very happy where I am now.
Absolutely. We have 2 more comments here.
Can I say, Bobbie, that you're a real inspiration? Thank
you.
It's great to listen to you. And my children obviously fast asleep. They're both teenagers, and I am going to make them watch this. Not for me, because they wouldn't anyway. I'm going to make them watch this just to listen to you.
Yes.
Oh, well, I mean, thank you for saying that. I mean, it's really, if I could inspire anybody, that would be absolutely tremendous, because there are so many people. It's not just me. There are so many people that are living in the shadow of what's happened to them. And, you know, it's hard to explain how you come out of it, but I believe, you know, it's a little bit the way I said to myself was, when these things happen to me, it happened to my body, not my mind. No one has taken that away from me, and somehow I've managed to, you know, come through it. And sometimes you can't keep a good woman down, but
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So that's really, you know, that's what I strongly believe. I really wish everybody could kind of, I mean, you don't come away without any scars at all. That would be impossible. There are things, but in general, you know, I think I'm quite a bubbly person. My personality hasn't been suppressed. I mean, perhaps for a while. I'm not saying it wasn't at all. I'm sure there was for a while there when I was going through it. But yeah, as I say, everything is possible.
George says, anyone who breaks free from abuse of any kind is a winner.
That's right.
Oh, thank you. Yes, you're absolutely right, George. Thank you so much for saying that.
Let's see here.
Okay, wait a minute. He was so controlling.
You were married to a narcissist. He was so controlling.
Cindy says something.
Okay.
Here we go.
Takes a strong person to break free, and an even stronger one to try to build the confidence of others to free themselves.
Absolutely.
Well, as I say, this is what I've been trying to. I mean, it's I think it's very, very difficult for, you know, for some people. I think it depends on what levels in your own strength. You know, it's the strength you find within yourself. But yeah, certainly, I am where I am, and I'm obviously nobody wants that kind of thing to happen. But I survived, and I hope, even if just one person listening to this could think to themselves tomorrow, maybe I can take that step forward. Maybe I could go to that coffee shop. Maybe I could just meet that person.
Right.
Not everybody is a monster.
Trish said,
Trish said, when you speak out about it, if truly helps those in the situation to know they aren't alone or crazy.
No,
absolutely. And that is why Paul wants his children. Phyllis says, I admire your strength. That's why Paul wants his children to listen to this. And that's a big reason why WLFE.-DB is a safe space, because people are afraid to speak out about what they're going through. They're ashamed.
Being bullied.
They feel guilty when they are not guilty. It is not your fault at all if you're being abused. It is other person. It is their problem.
Their problem.
It's their issue, and it's amazing how that shame. I mean, even with what happened to me as a child, it's the shame you feel, and you're different to everybody else, and you can't tell anybody. You're too scared to tell anybody. I mean, things have changed, and luckily, thank goodness, things have moved on. But that awful shame and that awful guilt is just beyond belief that it still goes on.
And it does. It's very prevalent. I'm sorry.
Yeah. This is an awesome conversation. I hate to turn the corner here, but
maybe it's about time.
Let's at least mention your books and your.
Now this is hitting people.
This is. I mean, we can circle right back to this if you want.
Oh no, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of get it out there.
It's not a problem.
It's wonderful, because I think this is really needed. Yeah, go ahead.
The book giveaway is your Field of Glass. Now that's right. That's your first actual full-length novel, right?
It is, yes.
The other one you wrote was a screenplay, I think.
Yeah, the first one I wrote was a screenplay. Then I've got two novels, and I'm adapting the screenplay because that really didn't work out the first time round.
Here's Field of Glass.
Yeah.
Okay, and can we put up where she will send that out? We'll get that banner up there.
Ready, set, go. Book giveaway. The first person to email bobbiebarker3@gmail.com will win a paperback copy of Field of Glass.
Okay. All right.
And so that'll be worth it for sure. Your other book is...
We'll bring that up right now.
Deadly Acquaintance.
Yep.
Okay, so you got both of those cooking.
You want to tell people a little bit about Deadly Acquaintance and also Field of Glass? Just, no spoilers, just the general idea.
Yeah, well, Field of Glass is very much centered around organized crime. We have a head of organized crime who's got, he has a serious obsession with a lady called Jessie Harris. Not a very good obsession. She was a former prostitute. He feels that it's payback time. She ran off quite some years ago and believed her life was okay, married, has a young son, until her husband is killed in a car crash, which she believed at first was an accident. And then she finds out very soon after there was no accident. And it goes on from there. There's lots of twists and turns. It's a very, very dark crime story. When her son goes missing, she has to take that step back into her past, and it's a story of great courage and the strength of one mother's love.
That's wonderful.
And Deadly Acquaintance is it's about a serial killer. When Isabella Beaumont, who is a very beautiful businesswoman, very arrogant, got where she's got, not a very nice person, she is brutally murdered. There's no forensic evidence, which is a real concern for the police, because where do they start? And it was worrying, and they believe it's going to happen again, and it does. And again, pretty brutal, and a few twists behind what the reasoning behind it all.
Here, put up this comment.
Your covers are fantastic as well.
Yes.
I really have always appreciated your covers. Did you design them?
No, the Field of Glass was by a lady called Aria Blake. I literally gave her a brief description of the story, and she came up with that straight away with a few little nips and changes here and there. But Deadly Acquaintance was actually a friend of ours he's a graphic designer. He's got his own printing company, and he just happened to say, I'd love to have a go at doing a book cover. Again, told him a brief description, boom.
They're both great.
Thank you. Yeah, he hit it straight on the head.
Here's Barbara's comment. I have 2 family members that went through the same. It breaks my heart and I'm crying. All those years they lived like that and were so terrified, etc.
Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to hear that. It is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. I just wish these things never happened. I think the good thing is there's more help out there, but sometimes people are too afraid to ask for it. Yeah, and I quite understand that.
It's good to talk about it.
Completely. Yes, completely.
That, like Trish had said, that people don't feel alone. They understand there are other people out there going through the same thing, or who have overcome it, overcome those struggles as you have, and that there's hope,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, that is actually an incredibly good starting point, just to talk to someone. If you can find someone who you can trust, sometimes that's not always easy, because you can be in a situation where you're so controlled you're not allowed to speak to that person, or you have to do it in secret. So there's so many different scenarios, so many.
They are free now and married to amazing men.
Oh, fantastic. That is fantastic. There you go.
Yeah, it is.
It is. So do you have any more future things on the drawing board?
Yes, I have my, I'm going back, funnily enough for saying that, I'm going back to the drawing board almost, because my first screenplay, the one that was quite a lot of mistakes, well, in fact, it was a screenplay at all, really, was probably not the best thing. So I'm actually adapting that into a novel. And I know I can't, because there are some true elements in that, which is really probably why I wrote it in the first place. It's based on, mildly on my story, if you like. So yeah, I mean, hopefully not quite sure when that'll be ready, but I'm in the process of doing that now. So yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting that finished. And not the editing though. I'm with you on that, Paul.
Yes.
So let's see, where can people get a hold of you, find out about you? Of course, your email, we had that up there already. It's
Twitter
along the bottom.
Yep.
We've got your Facebook, facebook.com, Bobbie Barker MB3.
That's it.
And then at Shade of Justice 1 for Twitter.
That's it. Yeah.
And currently you don't have a website, so
no, that's something we kind of need to. Not sure where to start with that one, but I'm working on that.
you can see all of Bobbie's books and her newer ones whenever they do come out on indiebooksource.com.
Yep.
Just look for Bobbie Barker under the authors, or look in the crime and mystery and thriller suspense section for her covers and her wonderful covers there.
Not for the faint-hearted, though. I need to point that out.
That's
definitely
good.
Not.
Yeah, good for people to know what they're getting into, right?
Yes. Right.
Oh yes.
And they can choose. Yeah.
You could be a little bit shocked, possibly.
There we go.
But then if you like crime books, then you wouldn't be, obviously, you're not going to, if you like fairy tale stories, you wouldn't pick up one of my books.
George has a question.
Yeah,
for
George
you.
says, Bobbie, why not dive in and write about abuse and solutions?
Well, that's actually a great idea. That maybe that will be something I could look to, because it would certainly be. I would love to help people that have been in the situation I was in previously.
Yeah, more non-fiction type.
Yes. Yes.
Help book. Yeah.
Well,
Yes,
you notice
yes.
how many comments came from so many different people here tonight about that situation. So that's a very good idea, George. And
yeah, definitely. It's something I could definitely put some thought to, for sure.
yeah, especially since you obviously have a heart to share with people and let people know that they can overcome and they can succeed and life can go on. That they can be victors, not victims. And
yes, 100%. I think that's the thing, is there's so many people that are remaining as victims, which is not their fault by any means at all, but it is possible to come out of it.
And George says there are so many people out there who need help.
There are.
No, this is it's definitely food for thought, for sure.
Yeah.
And
again, that's why we are a safe space here, and that's something we'll be saying a lot on all of our shows, so that everybody knows that, can hear our voices, that you have a safe space here.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Marginalized or for whatever reason.
And hate has no home here either. So, which is all the same thing anyway.
Yep.
It's hatred.
Yep.
So, Paul and Bobbie, do you guys have any questions for each other? If you don't.
So Bobbie, what do you find is the best way to get your book in front of your readers?
Good question.
Well, I think I just try. I mean, at the moment, it's kind of mostly social media. I would say I'm still relatively new, even though it's been kind of 5 or 6 years. There's still, I'm learning all the time. So yeah, I'm just kind of putting it out there, trying to get it out there in any way I can.
Do you kind of go out and do any events, any sort of signings anywhere or anything like that?
I haven't done so far, but I know there's a lot more I can be doing.
Yeah,
what do you think about that, Paul? Getting out to events and that sort of thing.
So I suppose it took me a long time to start doing that, and the first few were incredibly scary. Sat there trying to interact with the public, but I've just had fantastic experiences, and I absolutely, if the editing is the worst bit of the job, then that is by far going out and meeting the people is by far the best bit of the job. I can thoroughly recommend it. And after you've done it a couple of times, you will just love it. You'll get people coming up to you saying nice things, and I've not had a bad experience with any of it. So I
Oh
would,
wow, that's fantastic.
I would thoroughly recommend you go and give that a go. And even, you know, just start off just local craft fairs and stuff like that. And then,
maybe the library. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Build up to something bigger. And it just, honestly, it's a very rewarding experience, is what I would say. Very rewarding. So
I definitely need to kind of move myself on, you know, to do different things.
But just start off really small in a village hall or something like that. That's how I started. And then you just go to like slightly bigger things and see more people. And it's you'd be surprised at just how much you get out of it. You know, it's very rewarding.
And often you meet other authors too, and you can network with other authors when you know.
Yeah, I'm with quite a lot of author groups, and you know, on Facebook, and you know, sort of interact quite a lot with. I've learned an awful lot, like you said earlier, Paul. Just in the writing community is incredibly helpful.
Yeah,
really, you know, you can you know, you ask anything, and nobody makes you feel. If you sort of think, oh, I'm not sure if this sounds like a bit of a daft question, but you can ask, and people are quite happy to talk to you. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Cindy, she said, glad that worked out for you, Paul. I did it 3 times and no one showed up. LOL.
Oh, well, Cindy, that's not your fault if people don't show up. I've been to events where they've claimed, you know, and paid money, where they've sort of said, oh, you know, we've advertised it and there'll be lots of people, and nobody shows up. That's kind of not your fault. Get out in front of the people and you will have a really good time, I promise you.
Yeah, George says book signings at restaurants are fun and profitable, plus you get to eat. I added that. I'm sorry.
You added that. Yeah, I thought you may have done.
But he's right.
He's right.
And that's why these podcasts are so helpful, because people get to meet you and know who you are. And I think that helps.
Yeah, and for Cindy's benefit, if you think about it, when houses are being an open house, usually it's not the open house that sells. Quite often it isn't. I mean, people go through, you know, 50 people go through, and maybe somebody will buy the open house, but that's all networking. That's all networking, you know.
Cindy, where did you go? Did you go to a book signing, or, you know, what kind of an event did you do that no one showed up? Was it just you, or? We'll give her some time to type that out. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, book fairs, we have book fairs here in the States, and we have conventions, and we have all kinds of places. And like George said, book signings at restaurants. Do a lot of restaurants do that?
Are they really? I've never heard of that. A book signing at a restaurant. Never heard of that. Sounds fantastic.
Does sound like a massively good idea.
Well, you could go to your neighborhood restaurant where you always go, or whatever, and just suggest it. I'm sure
you'll have to wait until they open first.
Oh, well, yeah, I thought about that.
Not sure you'd want to go to the pub, though.
How could I forget about that? Oh, I think you would want to go to the pub.
Maybe. Yeah, they'd loosen up a little bit. And, I'll take 20.
Have a couple of pints and buy a book.
Have a couple more and buy a few more.
That's what I'm saying.
That might be the best. Yeah. Unless they get into a fight and knock your table over, then it's
yeah, then the fun goes out of it.
Yeah.
And Trisha says you would say pubs would be better.
That's what I'm thinking.
There you go. Thank you, Patricia.
Interesting ideas.
So
we'll do a joint one, Paul.
Absolutely, yeah.
A bookstore, and one with the library alone, and one that they were having a fair with several other authors. Huh.
Oh.
Well,
don't
give up, Cindy. Yeah. Go ahead and try it. Try again.
You have great books. So.
You do. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she is an amazing poet. Just love her work.
George beats bookstores 10-1. Lots of kibitzing.
And kibitzing is the best, no doubt about it. It is. It's the best part about having a book signing or going to a fair or something like that, is talking with everyone. That's absolutely the best. Yeah. And I remember one time we were set up next to an author whose work that we knew. So that was fun
Right. And we've
and odd.
networked for quite a while now. So
Yeah, it is really great.
well, you guys have got to be getting tired now. So
God bless them.
almost
No,
time.
what is it? 105.
It's 1:05. So unless you guys have anything else to add, maybe we should wrap it up here.
No, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Well,
thank
It's
you.
good to
Thank
meet
you
you,
for the
Paul, as
invite.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thank
it's
you
really
guys.
good to meet you, Paul.
Thank you guys for
Yeah,
hanging
it's
out
a
so late.
pleasure to put a face to the name, Bobbie. I'm always,
Yeah,
always,
definitely.
always happy to share your work on social media.
Yeah, it's sort of see yours, and I'll be like, oh, there's Paul. I'm going to share that right now.
I know. I think we certainly are a community, aren't we? We've known each other for years and shared each other's work for years, and it's been really great. We have 2 more comments that we can put up before we have to. Cindy said
she did enjoy meeting the other local authors at the fair, so that's networking, and that's a good thing.
and it's encouraging.
Yeah.
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 And Trish says, thank you so much for staying up with us.
You're very welcome.
Cindy
Very
said,
welcome.
it was very cool meeting you both. And Paul says, thank you, Bobbie, Paul, Joan, and Rob. You're welcome. Thanks.
Oh, yeah, very
Always
welcome.
a pleasure.
Great show.
George says, great
Fluttering.
show. Enjoyed
Thank you,
both
George.
writers. We did too, George. It was a good night. And
Thank you.
a lot of good stuff was said. And we appreciate you both very much. And our audience. Thank you, audience.
Thank you,
Without
audience.
you, we'd be nothing.
Yes, thank you, everybody, for being here.
Absolutely. One more comment.
Cindy J. Smith, I think you could do well going to an event for poets.
Yes,
Yeah.
because then you'd have the right audience.
Right.
Yep. The readers who read poetry would be there. You know, that's a good idea.
So this time we really mean it.
We have to go.
Thank you very much.
We're
You
really
guys
doing.
get some rest.
I do want to say one more thing.
She does want to say one more thing.
No,
That'll be one more thing then.
I want to remind people that at 8:30 after us is Inside the Drag Closet. So stay tuned for that. And also join all of our other wonderful authors and all of their wonderful shows. The Creepy Parlor last night actually touches on somewhat of what we've been talking about here. If you haven't listened to that episode, it was with Jason from what's the name of his show?
The Bipolar DM.
The Bipolar DM, and Genevieve, who's the hostess of the Creepy Parlor, did talk about people who are on the spectrum or are bipolar and have other mental health problems. And it was Jason really knows what he's talking about, and he gave a really well-rounded, intelligent, knowledgeable discussion of how playing Dungeons and Dragons helps those people to find community and to interact with each other. So if you haven't listened to that podcast, give it a try now.
For sure. Okay, well, thank you very much for having us on the show. So I'm not speaking for you, Paul.
Yeah, again.
Yes, thank you. It's been great.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, really good fun.
Until
okay, then.
Time.
That's all, folks.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.